You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ, amplifying the trans and gender non-conforming voices of Brisbane and beyond.
You're listening to Talking Zeds on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns, and I am joined with the wonderful Chloe. What are your pronouns?
She, her.
Excellent.
I don't mind a bit of they, them.
A bit of they, them?
I've just concluded yesterday. I was walking along the road and I thought,
you know what?
I could
like
try
this.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I'll let people know what's going on. So today on Talking Zeds, it's actually like the first Talking Zeds for September, which is Pride Month. And for Pride Month, we've decided that we would come on and we would have some, we're going to chill out. We're going to talk about music that's influenced us as trans people. And we're going to talk about some of our personal experiences, not necessarily relating to our transition or anything like that, but just our lives and who we are and maybe where gender fits in with all of that. But if you're listening, I hope you enjoy this journey that Chloe and I go on today. It will be interesting because first I'll be interviewing you, Chloe, and then the next after that you'll be interviewing me, which I will be under the magnifying glass, and that's kind of weird. It's the first time I've ever done that on air, so...
I love that you're squeaming in the chair. It's great.
I'm used to being like, excuse me, I ask the questions around here. Mm-hmm. So this should be, fun.
Whereas I'm the opposite of you. I love to talk about myself and never get the chance to do it. So I'm like totally
there you go.
ready.
You're ready.
And I'm a photographer, so I put other people under the camera's lens, and then I hate it when they take pictures of me.
Right. So this is a whole thing of like the flip of like our creative medium as well.
Yes.
Like I don't want to be examined under the lens of my creative medium and vice versa. So this will be fun. I'll get a camera.
If you take pictures of me while I'm talking, it'll be absolutely equal.
All right. Well, I should have thought of that before. Anyway, it's fine. Well, let's start off. So we're going to be interviewing. So I'll introduce you a little bit.
Okay. Yes.
Cloe Sophia, you are a transgender advocate and activist in the community. You've been doing lots of work with TAFE as well, and in progress there in terms of getting more gender inclusive programs and such through TAFE. What else have you been doing? You do lots of things.
I do. I've been talking to Amy McMahon from the Greens about all things transgender. I did that yesterday. That was really lovely. I am also a support worker. I've been doing that for 2 years because basically once COVID hit, photography went out the window, as did, of course, all events and what have you. So I basically picked up another career. So yeah, I've been a support worker. I also do random things like build shelves out of recycled material and cook. I love cooking. I love making olive tapenade and pesto with too much garlic in it.
Oh.
Do you not like that?
No, I'm on a FODMAP diet right now, so I'm real sad because I love garlic. You just said pesto with garlic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can't have the other thing.
Damn FODMAP.
Yeah, right? Damn guts. Cool. Well, it's nice to have you here. I've spoken to you before on Transmission. If you don't know what Transmission is, the trans gender non-conforming show on Tuesdays at 9 a.m, hosted by yours truly, Ez, and other Transmission team. So and we interview people from the community. It's a by trans for trans program. So, we center trans experiences and information for our trans listeners. Occasionally allies might find that useful. But that's us on Tuesdays. And we spoke before on Transmission. And so, I thought you were the perfect candidate to have chats with because we had such a fun time.
Oh, I'm extremely honored to be here.
Yeah.
For all sorts of reasons.
Yeah. Well, let's start off Pride Month with some. I'm gonna get the lens out. So, first of all, I want to know, Chloe, what was life like growing up?
My life growing up. I was thinking about this on the way in the car, and my life growing up was extremely boring, like extremely. But there are two beautiful things that I'd like to share. And that is, when I was 6, we moved to Bundaberg and to Bargara, and we lived on the beach. Like literally on the beach, like 10 meters away, and we had coconut trees, right? And if you've never actually had a raw coconut almost fall on you, and then you pick it up and you have to rip the husk off with a machete. Like, it's a great experience. It's beautiful, and have fresh coconut. And the most amazing thing about this place was that it's full of these black and igneous rocks. And so there was this like rock pool, and it, I was 6, right? So to me, it looked massive. So obviously you have to imagine it's like half the size of whatever I describe, right? Because I'm grown up now. And I used to like search through that rock pool to find things like treasure, literally treasure, not pirate treasure. I didn't know what that was, but hermit crabs and these beautiful shells and the colors and how the water like undulates and it changes the way you look at the bottom, and yabbies. And it was the most gorgeous thing out of my childhood. And I think from that point on, I learnt this thing that stuck with me, which is if you search hard enough, you will find what you're looking for. I don't know why it has happened or why I have it. Later, I would spend hours looking for that missing Lego piece. I don't know why. Sometimes I wouldn't even find it. But now I have this thing in my life where I believe if you search hard enough for what you want, you'll find it. And I think it started there at the rock pools. So that was like the most beautiful thing in my childhood. And then we lived by the beach for years. We ran the North Kingscliff Caravan Park down at Kingscliff, which was a council-run caravan park. And so if you live by the beach, you get to see that the beach has moods. Most people just go to the beach and like go surfing and swimming. But if you live by it, you see it has these most amazing moods. And usually it starts out quite soft in the morning and, beautiful and sunny. And almost always down in Kingscliff, it's like windy and blown out by the afternoon. And so, yeah, I have a love of the water and the coastline. And it has these beautiful things about it. So that's my childhood.
And you've been drawn to the coastline, like, ever since as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're living on the sunny coast now as well, just close to the water there as well, or?
Yeah, pretty close.
Pretty close. Maybe not 10 meters, but pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
The water is definitely the best thing, I think, about the Sunshine Coast.
So we have a first track of yours, actually, which is Sarah Bareilles, Opening Up. You want to talk a little bit about what this is about?
So she does feature in my other songs on this list, and I've just discovered her. She's what an amazing human being.
Yeah, she's cool. Very
incroyable. And I think if I was going to write a trans musical, like this song is from from the CD, The Waitress. I watched the movie. The movie's worth a watch, but just a warning: it starts out with domestic violence, but she is an empowered woman by the end. And I think you could almost take all the songs off this soundtrack and just put it straight into a transgender musical.
What was the album title again? It was Waitress,
The Waitress, yes.
Yeah, The Waitress.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the first song. I thought it was a great way to start the show. It's like very bright and lovely and opening.
Cool. Let's get straight into it. This is Opening Up by Sarah Bareilles.
I'm over you, I'm over you.
You're listening to Talking Zeds on 4ZZZ.
That's right, you're listening to Talking Zeds. You were just listening there to a track by Maddie Hicks, Kinda Over It. My name is Ez, I use he, him pronouns, and I'm joined with Chloe. She, her pronouns, or she, they pronouns. And please, a little context for Maddie Hicks, Kinda Over It. What was that song about or mean to you?
Yeah, I've just discovered this song. I love it and all of the songs on this playlist basically relate to being trans, and I just, I'm effing over it. I've had those experiences of being in a bar and having men, do those cliche things and ask me inappropriate questions, and it's just a little bit of like kickback,
Yeah, stuff you. Get away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I think we have to own it.
Absolutely. And I agree with the sentiment of Mandy Hicks there as well.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. We're going to continue getting to know you a bit and some of your story. So the next question I'm going to ask you is, what TV shows or film or representation have you seen that you saw when you were younger or anything? Like what's something that you saw that has shaped part of your journey?
Nothing.
No. The unfortunate truth.
Easy question to answer.
Yeah.
No. As I said, I grew up in like a very homogenous world. On the Gold Coast in the 80s, 90s. There was just nothing. The Gold Coast was retirees, rich Asian people, and tradespeople, young tradespeople. And there was no diversity back then. You didn't really see Indigenous people. You didn't see people from different ethnicities. So I grew up in this this bubble, basically. And I didn't realize trans people existed until I was like literally 45. I knew there was like drag queens kind of, and I knew there was kind of like lady boys, but it was sort of all on the periphery, and I didn't really make any sense of it. Not until I was 45. And since then till now, I've spent all my time educating myself. And so now, and there's not a lot of great films, obviously, to choose from.
Yeah.
But definitely my faves are Pose, of course. Great series.
I still haven't watched that.
What?
So many people tell me to watch that. I have to watch it. Yeah, I know.
What's going on?
Apparently it's very emotional. I need to brace myself a bit.
It is. It's
Yeah.
a journey.
Okay.
But it has the most LGBTIQ people contributing to the storyline and the production of it, and trans actors. Like, it's incredible. Worth a watch.
Okay, it's like on the top of my must-watch list. I've got to... You're not the first person on air to tell me, why haven't you watched it? It's okay, all right.
Look, if you're taking antidepressants, just up it.
No.
This is not medical advice, but just up it a few milligrams.
Yeah.
Because but there's two beautiful stories where the in this case the trans woman gets the guy. And it's so rare, and it's just absolutely amazing.
Spoiler.
I know. No, I'm not telling you who.
Okay, all right.
Then
Keep guessing.
Then there's Boy Meets Girl, and so that's actually a movie and a series. So in England, it's a TV series, and they put a lot of effort into it, like a lot of different writers, and worked out how to tackle these issues in a beautiful way. It's British comedy, so it's just stunning, but it's also a movie from America, absolutely gorgeous. And the reason why I like it, I have to tell you, is because it tackles a whole lot of different things at once, right? It tackles the military man that I don't want to spoil it.
No.
I can't even say that.
You
can
can't say, look, warning,
if you go,
spoiler
okay,
alert.
if you're gonna watch this movie soon, just block your ears, okay?
Yeah, okay.
But it has like the military guy who is in love with a cisgendered woman and speaks very badly about the trans woman. Turns out that he's actually had a relationship with a trans woman, and he's ashamed of himself. And so he has to like face that. Then there's a cisgendered woman who's in the relationship who cheats on him to have a relationship with the trans woman, and then she has to deal with that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. There's
everywhere.
just everything happens, and everyone has to look at themselves and question their ideals and everything. It's the best movie ever.
What's it called again?
Boy Meets Girl.
Boy Meets Girl. Okay, all right.
And lastly, a Fantastic Woman, which won awards. And it's actually, is it Chile? I think she might be from Chile.
So she's Chilean?
Maybe. Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. And she's just,
Fantastic woman.
a fantastic woman.
A fantastic woman.
And you'll notice on my email tag that I've borrowed a fantastic woman, and my photography business, I'm going to borrow that.
Okay. Ooh, it's
That's a
got
bit contentious,
like
isn't it?
94% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's pretty high.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say that's quality.
Yeah.
If you're getting that high on the Rotten Tomatoes vote, that's pretty good. Good ratings.
Positive
Okay.
representation. It's so important. And,
It really is.
And these directors, and some of them are cisgendered people, are just beautiful human beings.
Did these movies heavily influence you when you were younger, or do you think they played out as you transitioned, or when did you sort of...
No, all after transition, yeah.
Right,
I
okay.
didn't discover these until recently. So,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. No. Well, I mean, maybe The Matrix, because, it has undertones.
Yeah, it's true, and
Maybe.
especially because, the Wachowski sisters, they weren't out when they made the original
That's right,
trilogy,
yeah.
so real cool. They are awesome. Both of those sisters are really, really cool. We have another track that you have selected from your personal playlist. This one is Peggy Lee, I'm a Woman. Does this need an explanation?
That's the toughest question so far. No, just, we often, I think, the sentiment is from kind of like, historically, women do a lot. They can do the housework, they can do all these different things. They're amazing, and they don't get enough,
recognition
for that. And I think trans people are the same. We often have a lot of different skills and a lot of different things and a lot of chutzpah. Is that right? Chutzpah.
Yeah.
You know? And this song's a bit cheeky and I think plays out to that.
All right, cool. Well, let's play this one. This is Peggy Lee, I'm a Woman.
She used to be mine.
You were just listening there to Sarah Bareilles, She Used to Be Mine. You're listening to Talking Zeds on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns, and I am joined in studio today with Chloe, she, they. And we're having a special moment. We're talking about some of Chloe's life. We're going under the microscope. We're learning about our trans... We're sharing our trans stories for Pride Month, because it is Pride Month. It's very exciting. It's a bit cold for Pride Month, but it'll get warmer. Yeah, and so Chloe, you have been curating the playlist for the first hour of Talking Zeds today, and that song there, Sarah Bareilles, She Used to Be Mine. What special place in your heart does that track have?
I think we have a duty of care to our listeners to let them know that briefly we both left the studio for different reasons, and that they were alone for just a brief moment. Do you think that's not important?
No.
Okay, good.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I just thought of that. I just thought, yeah. Do they know?
No.
Did they notice
what
anything?
we're doing in the studio.
So I think that song is the like in the transgender musical that I, hypothetically would make. That is the quintessential song, right? There's the moonlight, the person's up high on a balcony and they're singing that song. I think it works for both trans men and trans women. The girl I left behind could be either. The pie reference confuses me. I would probably trash that lyric.
Was this something that you mostly resonated with?
Yeah. I think the woman inside of me, or the femme inside of me, the girl inside of me, it's special. Yeah, it means a lot to me. And it's a very special thing. And I think this song really talks to that and speaks to that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask you as well, I mean, sort of leading through that, because you do a lot of trans advocacy stuff and activism stuff, and how and why did you get into this sort of space and get into advocacy?
Good question.
Why are you doing this?
Why am I doing it? I'm doing it because I'm a believer. I think, well, first of all, I didn't obviously realize what the experience is for trans people until I transitioned. I had all that, I had 45 years of privilege and could do lots of things and have access to lots of different worlds. And then when I transitioned, I realized, oh my God, there's a whole lot of stuff I didn't realize. So, and it needs to change. It goes very deep and it affects people, and it needs to it needs to change. So, and I'm a fixer. Like going back to before, if you search long enough for the solution, you'll find it. And so just uncovering why things are the way they are. And I probably shouldn't talk too long, because I could talk a very long time on advocacy work. But I think the reasons why we are here basically today in this cultural context is because the media has created a vacuum and misrepresentation and a lack of representation. And then you've got the federal government that still doesn't even admit that we exist, and they've created this vacuum around trans people. And so people don't know, people don't understand. We're not visible, we're not looked after, we don't have equity. And I don't think people realize that. I think we get caught up on being gendered correctly by our GP and all these other small difficult things that affect us. But I think there are some bigger issues. There's some systemic issues that really need addressing. And quickly, because it's been a very long time. Yeah. So, and I also don't mind upsetting people. I really like to be that annoying person.
Yeah, you're going to be annoying people.
I have a bit of cheekiness and chutzpah, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just seems to fit my demeanour, I think.
Yeah. I do like to stare people in the eye sometimes and be like, come on then, bring it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
They're not going to get rid of us, that's for sure. If statistics are proven correct, there is actually more and more of us every day.
I know, right? It's like we're growing in a jar, but we're out of control. It's like...
Oh, you got to compare us as bacteria. Great.
I said like...
Okay, sorry.
Let's not get started on...
Excuse me, I wasn't...
What I saw on TV the other day at a famous Australian media...
Yeah, look.
Anyway.
But wait, there's another track I'd love to play that you've added, because We're
Yes.
dramatically running out of time.
Yeah,
'cause
of
that's
course.
how radio works. So this next track is Lizzo, Naked. What is it about this song? that-
Okay, yes. So I dream of living in a shame-free and traumatic-free culture. I feel like I'm running for politics now. And I've done a lot of work in sexology and sexology workshops and a whole field that not many people even know exists. And so this song by Lizzo is one of the most beautiful songs I think she's done, which is about, and she's a larger woman, and it's about being okay with her body and accepting it and owning it and being shame-free. So please,
Let's do it.
enlighten the listeners.
Lizzo, Naked.
This is Talking Zeds on 4 Triple Z.
That's right. You're listening to Talking Zeds on 4 Triple Z. You were just listening there to Gemma Hayes Palomino. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm joined in studio by Chloe, she, they pronouns. And it's Pride Month. So Talking Zeds are doing a bit of a special for Pride Month. Yes, and we're doing some trans stories today. So Chloe has been sharing some of their life story and some things that they love, including all the playlists for the last hour has also been curated by Chloe. So if you've been enjoying what you're hearing, I'm going to pop that up on the 4 Triple Z AMRAP and you can take a look at all the tracks. But yeah, that last one there, Gemma Hayes Palomino, what significance did that have to you?
It's
You know?
great. It's so
It's
great.
a real chill song. I really like that. It's a good vibe.
Yeah. It speaks to the line in it is about, what is it? I think it's like sadness runs in the blood, I think. And it talks about families and how sometimes families, they can't adapt or they're stuck and you have to kind of walk away.
Yeah.
It's that it runs in the blood. And it's just, if you look at the lyrics, it explains itself. It's just beautiful writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little sad, but gorgeous. And riding off on your Palomino horse. Like, what a great image.
What a way to end.
Or
Yeah.
just taking a break maybe
Or, like,
from your
riding
family,
off in the
you know?
distance. On the beach, on your
On the
horse.
beach,
Yeah.
yeah.
I did have someone message in, Al, thank you for messaging, asking for some resources where to get more education on trans folk and non-binary folk. If you'd like to check that out, anyone who's listening right now, if you want to find some good resources, you can head over to transresearch.org.au. It's exceptional. It's an exceptional website. It has everything you need. If you're an ally or a trans person yourself, everything is there. That is where I send people to. So if you'd like to check that out, I'll say it again, transresearch.org.au. Yeah.
You're so knowledgeable, Ez.
Yes, I know things about things.
You
It's
know
good.
things. Yeah.
Better do my research as a trans advocate, I know where things are. I haven't watched Pose, but that's cool. I've
Well,
done other things.
let's say no more about that.
Well, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to ask you a hard question now because we're coming to the end of the episode. And, this part of the episodes.
Okay, I've got my hands resting on my virtual buzzer.
Okay, all right.
As a
I don't
contestant,
know if
I'm
this
very
is a question
nervous.
we buzzed
Yes.
in on, but all right. What's been one of the harder things you've had to, one of the harder challenges in your life, whether that be with transition or in general, and how have you coped with them? How have you strategized getting through difficulty? Sorry.
Yes, I'm eager. No. Yeah. So I think the most difficult thing in my life has been, so Eddie Izzard has this quote. I actually cannot find the quote now.
Oh, no.
I wish I had taken a screenshot. But essentially, he's in an interview. She is in an interview because she's changed her pronouns. And she is saying that people think transition is like you get through the first, 3, 4, 5 years or through surgery and that's it. And then life is going to be amazing, which is what I thought, right, in the beginning. And so, but what she says is that she had to go through that transition. And then the next 10 years is basically fighting for your place in society, eking out a life within society. It's very sobering, but good to know, I think. I wish I had heard that before I transitioned and prepared. So really, the first part of my transition was exciting, of course. I was excited. There was a bit of anxiety. There was can I walk past that work site and not have men say something to me? And I made a rule when I transitioned that I would not do anything. I would do everything that I used to do as a trans woman. That was my personal promise to myself. So it was exciting, and then I kind of got through that part and I started to relax into my new form and my body and get used to being in this way, this expression, and relaxed. And then the escalation of my body dropped and everything was great. And then I realized, now I've got to create a life for myself.
Yeah.
And it's been really tough, to be honest. And I'm still in that process. So the things I do to cope with that is I limit the amount of time I spend in spaces that don't feel open and welcoming, because that can affect my mental health. I make sure that I take time out to nurture myself at home and spend time with myself and my body, and to
Do you do a lot
honor my body.
Honor your body, like what Lizzo in that song Naked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Surround myself with people who are open. And I have this sort of extra special sensory awareness now, it's kind of like superhero status, where
That's what happens to all trans people, by the way. We get superpowers.
Yeah. So, you walk into a space and you can tell how open it feels. For instance, I did life drawing on the Sunshine Coast recently. And then I did life drawing last night in West End. Completely different spaces. Once the Sunshine Coast space did not feel as open. It felt like there was very quiet, strong, I don't kind of want to say heteronormative vibes, but there was just, it just didn't feel as open. And the one on West End was amazing. Everyone was so gorgeous
as well. West End's a cool place to be.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I do. I make sure I still go to the beach, because on the beach I can really enjoy myself and my body and feel really in it. And then I look for work, which is helps people and is where I can see the benefits of what I'm doing quickly, rather than working for some organization where I'm, benefiting someone else's entrepreneurial pocket and I'm not really seeing the value in it. So I make sure I do work that's meaningful to me. Those are my go-tos.
Yeah,
and
meaningful work.
That's
so important. I think probably everyone can take a lesson from that book in terms of prioritizing something that actually is meaningful to your spirit and your soul, as opposed to doing something because you think you need to be doing that, or that's what you had previously done. Just because you've done it in the past doesn't mean you need to keep doing it as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Working out boundaries, and how are we doing for time?
Yeah, we're good for time. Well, actually, we're gonna the last song is "Good Woman," Jade Bird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, she's just funky. Seriously, this is... Yeah, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I kind of have these little stereotype pictures of who I would ideally be, like the Natuzzi. Do you know that there's a brand called Natuzzi?
Yeah,
they make couches.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And there's always this woman on the couch, and she's wearing this knit, close body hugging thing and shoes, and she has this blonde hair, and I just. One of my visions is that I'm her sitting on that couch. And then I have another one which is the kind of surfy chick, because I used to surf. And and so in this song, I imagine whatever this funky woman is who's singing this song, that I'm like that. It's just kind of good woman.
Yeah, cool. Well, this is going to be great. This is a great song to end on. Thank you so much for being interviewed by me today.
Thanks.
Yeah. In the next half of Talking Zeds, the tides will turn and I will be the interviewer becomes the interviewee. But in the meantime, please enjoy listening to Jade Bird, Good Woman.
Where did I put that spotlight?
Oh, no. I'm pushing play now.
One minute you told 2 lies that you love me, and it was you and I.
This is Talking Zeds on 4ZZZ.
That's right, you're listening to Talking Zeds on 4ZZZ. You were just listening at the top there to Thelma Plum, The Brown Snake from the EP Me Engine. I am obsessed with that track. It's so good. Yeah, thank you, Thelma, for creating an EP celebrating how incredible this city is, because it is the best city in the world. Fight me, I don't care. All right, anyway, my name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm joined in studio by Chloe, she, they pronouns. And on Talking Zeds today, we are celebrating Pride Month and kicking off Pride Month. We're sharing our trans stories in an intimate setting of Talking Zeds. In the first hour of the episode, you were listening to myself interview Chloe, and the playlist was curated by them as well. Now the tables have turned, and I will become the interviewee.
I think that's my cue.
Is that your cue? All right, I'll lean back.
Look, before we get on to the first question, you just said the most amazing thing to me that I've lived in Brisbane for like 22 years and I've never heard before. And it was about how beautiful Brisbane is, and specifically about being bitten by the brown snake, which I thought was a gorgeous thing. I think you should just elaborate a little bit more.
Oh, well...
just tell them what you told me.
So, first of all, I'm a hardcore Zedder in that I have a 4ZZZ tattoo, and I am very proud of being a Brisbaneite. I love me engine. I grew up here. I was born here, and so weird. I'm so used to not being the one being interviewed. So my mum and dad. So my mum is from Central Queensland. She grew up in Barkey, in Barcaldine. Not Barcaldine, it's Barcaldine for people listening. And Central Queensland, she grew up out there in the 50s and 60s. And my dad grew up in the 1930s in poverty in South America and Uruguay, which, if you don't know where Uruguay is, it's the south of Brazil, to the right of Argentina if you're looking at the map. And my dad came here during the White Australia policy, so he's an immigrant. He immigrated here then. I met my mum in Sydney, and they came back to Brisbane. They had me. I absolutely adore this city. I've traveled to 35 different cities around the world. I've lived overseas. I've learned other languages. I've met many people from many different places, and every single time I fly in to Brisbane, I'm like, I am in paradise. I am in the greatest place in the world. And there's no other city in Australia that comes even remotely close to how unique and powerful Brisbane is as well. I guess the rest of the country has been like, oh, it's the deep north, or, oh, it's Pig City and big country town. And it's like, well, you're so caught up in pushing us down that you're completely missed how much growth and diversity and interest and talent and the birthplace of punk is in Brisbane. The Saints. And 4ZZZ was very much a big part of the progress of coming out of that fascist state, that post-police state. And I just think it's the most powerful underdog story is Brisbane, and I am so proud to have been born here by imported goods, as my dad would say. So yeah, I think it's the greatest place in the world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Honestly, 22 years, and that's the first time I've heard a really beautiful, positive, gorgeous representation of Brisbane. I think we need more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, the EP by Thelma Plum, the Meanjin, it really encapsulates a lot of the emotion that I've had for the city for years, and it's the first time that I really heard something that made me very emotional, because it's like this is what I feel about it, and I'm so glad that there's an artist out there that's done that. So yeah, that's a special song for me at the moment. Yeah.
I am intrigued, and you just tell me when we need to go to a song, because obviously I'm not in control of the desk, although I would love to be. But I'm intrigued by your roots, by Uruguay, by this part of your history, and maybe you could just speak a little bit more about to that. I mean, you have a tattoo on your arm now.
Yes. So my dad is indigenous South American Chorua tribe, Chorua Nation. They were a nomadic people about 200, 300 years ago, descendants of Aztec and Incan, I guess, cities and civilizations. And my dad, so he was born in 1934, and my grandmother was born in the mid-1800s. So that's only 2 generations ago for me. And my grandmother is a full Choruan woman. She's no longer alive. I mean, if you're born in the 1800s and you're still alive, congrats, that's amazing. But yeah, she actually, so a lot of what happened with the Chorua people was that it was a very intense genocide, colonization, the conquistadors and Spaniards that came over, and their forced colonization, and yeah, it was really awful. There was a complete eradication of the free Chorua people, the Chorua people that inhabit Uruguay now, descendants of Chorua people that were unfortunately forced to conform to colonist ideas, and my grandmother was one of them, and part of that decision was for the survival of our culture. Dad was one of 11 children, I believe, so, and at one point he was sold as a child slave for a number of years. His life is extremely harrowing. Yeah, absolutely love my dad. and he's now resting in his aged care facility in Hobart, having a great time, drinking coffee every morning. So his happy ending for him. But yeah, so he's passed on a lot of that legacy, and I've been spending a lot of my time trying to reconnect with Uruguayan people and Trua Uruguayan people especially. I am the only one I know of in Brisbane, actually.
Wow.
The only other Trua people I know are my immediate family, so half brother and half sister, and they don't live in this state. Any other Uruguayan people I don't even know of, actually. We're quite isolated here. A very small population in Uruguay as well, so makes sense. Yeah.
So out of that incredible story, you arrived in Brisbane like as a gift.
So my mum and dad tried to have kids for 8 or something years, and they thought they gave up, and then they had me. I was a miraculous child.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad was actually 59 when I was born. Wow. Yeah, so he's always been an old man to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've trumped me. I can't believe it. That's incredible.
Yeah, so he's 87 or something now, yeah.
Wow.
Actually, it leads in quite well with this track, because there's this band in Melbourne called Amaru Tribe, and they're a combination of different ancestry, both Indigenous Australian and Indigenous South American, and they're one of my favorite artists at the moment, and they have this beautiful album that they've come out only about a month ago called Between Two Worlds, which is exactly how I felt, which is like falling in love with Australia and being in love as an Australian person, but also having my home, my true ancestral home across the water, across the Pacific. And this particular song is called La Tormenta, and it fuses a lot of sounds, like traditional pan flute sounds. My dad used to play a little bit of pan flute, as well as just really stirring tribal feelings. I really, 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 I feel for this song a lot. So yeah, we can have a listen to this. This is La Tormenta, Amaru Tribe.
You're listening to Talking Zeds on 4ZZZ.
That's right, you're listening to Talking Zeds on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns. I'm joined in studio by Cloe Sophia, she, they pronouns. It's Pride Month, and Talking Zeds are doing a special at the moment where we're talking to, getting some trans stories into your ears out there. I am being examined by Cloe on air, sharing some of my story. I'm normally announcing and interviewing other people, so this is fun. This is interesting.
I hope so.
You were just listening to that too, by the way. La Tormenta by Amaru Tribe. It's an awesome track. Yeah, I love that one. It's a good song.
Thanks for sharing. It's super interesting to hear your story, and I love that music because it has it has instruments from different cultures in it, and different continents. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's a nice fusion of things. I like.
I feel like it's a perfect segue.
Perfect segue. All right, here we go.
Not really. It's a bit of an abrupt segue, but I am curious about your earliest memories of knowing trans people exist, or that it was possible to transition and to do what you've done. And you have this, you've told me about the kind of masculine figure in your life and what that looked like when you were younger. Do you remember that? We had a bit of a conversation.
A masculine
you were talking about your dad.
My dad? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's interesting because having a Indigenous, person of color as my dad, and then, a white cis woman from central Queensland as my mom, who was she was really radical for what she was doing as well, because she was so cool. I was raised by a stay-at-home dad, a black dad, in his 60s, and my mom was the director of a company, and she worked full-time. I was an only child as well. So, my family norm was my dad at home and my mom at work, and that was in the 90s here in Mianjin. So, and my understanding of masculinity is very different, because my dad was very emotional. He loved feeling things very deeply, and he felt things very deeply, and I think that's both culturally and just his nature. There wasn't a lot of machismo, as it's called, with my dad. There was definitely some of that, but mostly he was charisma, he was fire, he was warmth, he was dancing and singing in the kitchen to Latin music and cooking the most amazing food, and he was all about laughter. And, my dad was a softie. He still is a softie. He'll cry in a TV commercial. That's my dad, oh, the child needs a tissue. It's a tissue commercial. I don't know. That would be my dad, he just cry for any reason. Whereas my mom was actually probably more stoic. in a lot of ways. Growing up in central Queensland, you know, hard yakka, get on with it, none of this, you know. Also strong woman, raised by a strong woman. My grandmother, Rose, was the owner of ran the picture theatre out in Barcaldine for, I don't know, a number of years. So, you know, I have a strong line of strong women, and then this incredible, soft, passionate, flavorful other side of the family. So it was an interesting growing up in that space, now that I have hindsight and I can look back on it. But in terms of, like, I guess, earliest memories of knowing or seeing trans people, I have none that I can recall. And a lot of my understanding of trans representation was, especially for trans masc people like myself, trans people were M to F, so male to female people. Those were trans people. There was no such thing as being born, you know, assigned female at birth and then transitioning to, you know, more masculine side of the spectrum. That didn't exist. And if it did exist, I did not see it until, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, really. Like, wow. I was really not in a space where I saw that. And especially in Brisbane, we didn't, you know, like, there were drag queens, but there were never drag kings. And when I did see a drag king, that was kind of like the closest thing that I got. And I would have been like 20. So I didn't really know that was a thing. But also, I very much had confused sexuality and gender. I'd sort of fused them together. They are very separate and unrelated to each other. They are a little related. They do have some sort of an overlap, but in essence, they're not connected to each other. And that's a lot of what I think the cis community, and if you don't know what cis means, it's probably you, FYI. You know, cis people are not trans people. You are born in the body that you identify with. So yeah. So I think a lot of cis people, you know, they just didn't really... I didn't realize that they... you know, sexuality and gender was overlapped for me. They are very separate things. But then I guess also through my journey of transitioning, the more I've come out and the more I've explored my transition, whether with hormones or clothing or music or taste or whatever it is that I'm doing, the less I really know about gender. Because that's the incredible, powerful thing about discovering your identity, is that there are no rules. There's no right or wrong way to be a man. There's no right or wrong way to be a woman. There's no right or wrong way to be a person. There's just oppressive concepts and constructs that are pushed on you. And both my dad and my mum very much taught me from a young age to be what I wanted to be. So I have never experienced what a lot of trans people experience, which is extremely unfortunate, and we need a dramatic change in society for this to happen. But my parents have always been there, and I've never feared coming out to them. It has been challenging for them, but they've always had unconditional love and space for me, which I'm very grateful for.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can I ask, was there like an aha moment, or did you just progressively express yourself over time and then move towards that?
So I came out as a lesbian in high school, and that was the most traumatic experience of my entire life. I had a lot of abuse from other students and from people who were adults. So it was pretty bad. And then when it came to the realization in my sort of early to mid-20s about my gender, I thought, oh no, I'm going to have to come out again. And it was so traumatic the first time that the thought of doing it again was just too hard. So I knew, but I didn't know, and I was basically being dragged, kicking and screaming to resist this change. It was very, very painful, but there were so many moments of pain around my gender that I didn't realize was dysphoria until I'd come out. I thought that was just pain everyone experienced, and that was normal thing, but it wasn't. It really, really wasn't. It was definitely, this is not my body, I don't fit in, I don't feel right, and I couldn't figure out why. Actually, coincidentally, this next song that I've selected really lines up with some of that. It's a bit of a sad track, but they're a trans masc artist, Flower Kid, extremely good. Really, really love this song. This is called Vodka and Orange Juice. I get very emotional with this song, actually, so I'll probably turn it down while we're playing.
I've got tissues
over
here.
Yeah, but this is something, when I was in high school, I felt like this all the time. And so, yeah, I'll let the song speak.
Okay.
I won't say anymore. This is Flower Kid, Vodka Orange Juice. that there was John Butler Trio, Spring to Come. You're listening to Talking Zeds. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm joined in studio by Chloe, using she, they pronouns. It's a Pride Month special, and you're listening to some trans stories. Earlier in the episode today, I was chatting to Chloe and getting to know them a little better and sharing some of, their life and how they came to be who they are now. And now the reverse is happening. I am now being interviewed. I'm getting looked at with pointedly now by Chloe. Yeah, we're taking notes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're just learning a little bit about me and getting a little bit more, I don't know, intimate, I guess, with stories and what I do and who I am and stuff. Yeah.
That's my cue.
Outside of the radio, I guess. I don't know.
It's been lovely to get to know you a little bit better.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I am. And I am. So you do this amazing show, Transmission, which is like a beautiful island in the media that focuses on trans people and is so important and positive representation and, So tell me about that. Why did you start that? How did you start that? Tell me the deal. Give me the goss. The talk on the street.
Well, transmission with a Z, by the way, because obviously we're on 4 Z. Yeah, transmission was something that I've had in my mind for, I'm going to say 2 years or maybe 18 months. It's been a while that I had this show concept in my mind, especially as I started transitioning. I was like, where are we? Where are trans people in the landscape? And also in terms of the history of 4 Z and the station, it's the very first, it was the very first community broadcast in the country. It was 4 Z in 1975. And during that time, it really provided voices for marginalized communities and oppressed communities. And part of that, what came out of that was Queer Radio, which was the longest running LGBTQIA plus programming, I think, in the Southern Hemisphere. And still is running. And, Dykes on Mics came out of that. It was just a lesbian broadcast, which still runs to this day as well. Also on, on Wednesday night, before Queer Radio. And then I thought, where the hell is the trans show? Where are we? And yeah, we are featured and we're definitely loved by Queer Radio and by, Ruth and Kate from Dykes on Mics. And I originally started out for Triple Z on Dykes on Mics. That was the show that I was on for a couple of years, occasionally there. So I thought, as I transitioned, I thought, where are we? But more importantly, I think there's so much trans media and there's so much media that is cis people looking at trans people and not trans people speaking for themselves on a platform. And 4 Z have been pioneering radio for many, many decades. And I thought, why not do it again? Why don't they run the very first by trans, for trans programming in the country? And so along came me with the idea, and I'd already been at the station for a number of years. Stephen Stockwell, the incredible station manager of 4 Z, he encouraged it, and I, become really close with Stephen over this last year that he's been here, and I got a lot of mentoring from him too, and I just realized that my time had come with doing Z Games, which is the show I did for 3 years, and I wanted radio activism. I wanted to be in the front line my whole life and be staring at people who oppress anyone, and I wanted to be bring it on. And so I guess transmission is sort of it's a manifestation of my love for radio and activism. And so then transmission was born out of that, and I wanted transmission to be a place that focused trans celebration and trans euphoria, trans joy, and what we're achieving and and our stories and everything. I just wanted a place for all of that because it doesn't exist. And I thought, well, if why am I waiting for someone to do it? Why don't just do it? So
exactly.
Yeah, and it's been running for 3 months now, and had lots and lots of positive response, and it just keeps spurring me on. I want to do more. I want more time. I want more people. I'm really thirsty for it. So absolutely love transmission.
When you talk about it, your eyes light up with such passion. It's fantastic, and I completely agree with you. Positive representation of trans people.
Yeah.
Where is it? Trans people are amazing. We've done so many incredible things.
We're everywhere doing incredible stuff. We are everywhere, and we are all looking out for each other. we're stronger because we have had to fight things that other people haven't had to fight. We're diverse in ways beyond imagining as well. And our stories are so fascinating because we not only have lived lives as men or as women, perceived in quotations, but we've also lived the other side of that. And we have a deeper understanding of gender than any cis person could ever imagine. And I really, really hope that one day cis people respect that, because there's so much power in gender and tearing it apart as well. There's so much power in knowing who you are. And we get to do that all the time because we're examined all the time by the media. So we know who we are. I challenge you to know who you are. That's what I really think.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Amen. Bring it home.
Yeah. I do think, like, because I'm going to play another song from, like, my playlist of music that we've been listening to today. And
Can I just, before you do that, sorry, can I just ask, do you have another project in mind at this point? Or is it too early?
I mean, no. I mean, Transmission's like pretty much still early days. Like we've only been on there like 14 episodes, so at this point. And realistically, I would like to do more in that. You know, if anyone out there who's got funding, please help, because I do this all free. You know, I'm a volunteer. Everyone pretty much on air at 4ZZZ is a volunteer. And you know, the more funding that we can get, the better, and the more projects that we can do. You know, maybe one day I'll get a grant for a Transmission, I'm not sure, and then I could fly interstate because there's stories everywhere. I'd love to hear them all. I'd love to talk to artists of every kind. Yeah, it's just the future is to continue growing this show and to continue doing justice to a community that has had so much injustice.
Beautiful. Okay, take us away.
I was just gonna play a track from my favorite album ever. It's a Missy Higgins album, actually, called Oz, and the album basically centers around doing covers of really cool old classic Australian artists. And this particular one is a Divinals cover. So Missy Higgins covers a Divinals track called Back to the Wall. And I guess for me personally, as a trans person, I have felt at many points in my life where my back was against the wall. And so this song for me very much is a message to people who think that they maybe have a right to oppress trans voices, but you don't know what we're capable of, because we are extremely strong. And so, yeah, this one is Back to the Wall, Missy Higgins, a Divinals cover. Oh, when my back's to the You're listening to Talking Zeds on 4ZZZ. You were just listening to a track there, Back to the Wall, Missy Higgins, a Divinals cover from the album Oz. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm in studio with Chloe using she, they pronouns. We are both trans advocates and both trans people celebrating Pride Month, the beginning of Pride Month, and sharing our trans stories today. And we're actually coming to the end.
We are. So I'm going to keep this like really succinct.
You're going to ask me another question?
Yeah, I've got one more question.
Right.
So, hey, Ez.
Yes, that's my name.
Do you see yourself having a family? What does family mean to you? What does the future hold? Like, I'm thinking 5-10 years. Like, speak to us.
Okay, so I mean, family to me means eating lots of South American barbecue and listening to Latin American music and spending time with my mom talking about all the problems in the world and how we're going to solve them. Family means my trans community. It means my beautiful partner, Kai, who we do transmission with. It means my chosen family. It means like my incredible housemate, who I love so dearly as well. Kev, I know you're not listening, but it's fine. I love you anyway. Family is really so broad because I have family overseas, my South American family. I've never actually met them, but I talk to them almost, every week. We're always messaging, always sending things to each other, and they live in New Jersey. Some of them still live in Uruguay. So family is very broad, but family can also mean, like, to me, people that have come into my life for short periods of time but have impacted me deeply, and I'll remember them forever, and I think of them often, Family is really something that you can define for yourself and something you can choose for yourself. I had a very fractured relationship with my dad for a long time, and I wouldn't have considered him family for a long time, mostly because he was untreated anger issues. And I chose to leave. So did my mum. We left. And that's also another powerful thing to know about family, is that family doesn't mean forever. You have to. It's a relationship. You still have to build it and nurture it and love it. And I guess family really is, for me, people who make me feel like I can do anything and know that whatever decision I make, I will be supported and loved. And that doesn't necessarily mean people who are blood related to me, but it can just be really, really good friends. Those people are just as much family. And my dad is one of those people that loyalty is very important, especially South American families. Being loyal is very, very important. And my brother's a lot like that. My sister's a lot like that. I'm a lot like that. If you look out for me, I look out for you. We always look out for each other. And that's the trans community. That's a family. We all look out for each other. We love each other. Even if we don't always get along, we respect each other. And that's so important. And I really hope that, hopefully the general population, the cis population, can experience a kind of family like that. Because it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's the best thing. We're actually, we're running out of time.
Yeah,
but,
so there's this one really important, like, what about, like, maybe a little pug one day? Or, like a handbag dog?
I do love dogs. I like a good Jack Russell. I quite like little...
Oh, okay, you're a Jack Russell person.
You like yappy dogs. I'm like, not if you train them.
Okay.
I don't
Good
know
to know.
Kind of Jack
Good to
Russells
know.
you've hung out with. But anyway. I guess I don't know what kind of family the future looks like for me. I don't really think about that. I'm not very good at, like, forward thinking, I guess, because I'm an ADHD person. I struggle with that, but I hope that whatever the future holds for me, whatever family it looks like, I'm happy, wherever it is. Happy, hopefully healthy, and singing and dancing, just like my dad. So
that's a yummy sentiment. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for being under the microscope.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for coming on Talking Zeds. We're coming to the end of the episode now. Thank you so much for tuning into Talking Zeds. It's been a blast sharing stories today. If you missed out, you want to listen back, you can head over to On Demand. Also, you can head over to the Transmission Facebook page at Trans Radio with a Z. I'm going to put up a podcast up there. You can listen to it as well. Cool. Thank you so much, Chloe.
Thank you for having me. I'm honoured. Absolutely honoured.
Cool.
Thank you so much for listening to Transmission. See you next Tuesday, 9 to 10 a.m. on 4 Triple Z.